Hi, beautiful people. If you're wondering what we're doing here, then just hang out and find out. Oh, Joanne, yay, I have one. Vince, I have two. All right, let me do my little intro. So you may be wondering, why do I have a table full of beautiful, beautiful goodies, right? With a lot of love, a lot of love. I'll call you in a minute, Heather, doing a little intro. I will tell you, you are in for a really fun adventure. Okay? So let me flip the phone. Right, there I am. And let me, with the one and only. Hi, Marianne. Oh, let me turn off Sade. Hi.
Hi, beautiful. How are you?
How are you?
I'm good.
I did a little intro. I don't know if you saw it. I did a
I
little
did.
intro.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I thought it was a good way to bring you in. Now let me get my whole production team on board here. All right, we have beautiful women in the back with the elephant.
Love it all.
So, wow, and I'm already up to 8. But I'm not looking at numbers and I'm not looking at comments. I'm
No.
just looking at you.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to have you.
It's
This is
good to
going to
be
be
here.
really fun. So I'm going to do a tiny little intro. I'm going to do 5 kind of casual questions, and we're just going to learn everything about Heather
Okay.
Carlucci.
I'm looking forward to it.
So for anyone who doesn't know, I am a chef, like I said, always a chef, but Heather Carlucci was a very, very well-known and respected pastry chef. So before we get into what we're really here for, I'd love to know a tiny thing about, do you miss, a stupid question, but your restaurant life or your pastry chef life, 9 million hours and no life? Do you miss that?
You know,
Looking at all those beautiful pastries.
would I go back? No. It was 30 years of doing it. So
Mm.
it was a lot. Like I have done the thing. But there are things I very much miss about it. I miss being with people every day, a lot of people, and interacting. I very much miss that. Um, I do miss, and you'll understand this, I don't say this from an egotistical place, but I do miss my food that I made in restaurants.
Yeah.
I miss,
I have a chef on here. Do you know Joanne? Joanne from Tocqueville, former from Tocqueville?
I don't think I know her, but I looked at her name when her name
You know
popped up
of
and I
her.
was like, I think I know
Yeah.
the person. Yeah. I
Yeah,
met.
she's on here. So, a fellow chef, now in Connecticut, running a wonderful place in Connecticut. But
Fantastic.
yeah, there she is. I understand there is a great thing about community. I'm not running kitchens anymore. I'm running something else. It's a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
But that community, I mean, and I do work at the W, and that's very much community.
Yeah.
And I think,
Service
you
community,
know,
you know?
I think Anthony Bourdain's chef, a book who I loved, really highlighted not only the nuttiness of the industry, but the value of family. I think in the restaurant world, when you work 9 million hours, you don't see your family, leave when it's dark, you come home when it's dark. You depend on that community and that
Oh,
family.
I think what the best thing is that you don't really have to work for it if you're really into what you're doing anyway. Like you look up after a couple of years and next thing you know, you're like, I know that if I get off of work at like 2, somebody's going to be at the place we always go to, and somebody has my back if I got to get home or if they need to get home.
Yeah,
There's,
yeah,
and then of course, as you go from restaurant to restaurant, which on this small island of Manhattan is very easy, you meet
yeah. It's a
everybody.
tiny, 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 tiny community. And
Yeah.
that could be a whole nother conversation. I have another fellow chef, Marion, here. We used to cook together in New Orleans.
Oh,
Marion went
fantastic.
the French way. I kind of went the American Mediterranean way.
Mhm.
She's a brilliant chef and pastry chef too. So there's definitely that feeling of family, and I get it. But it's a hard life, very hard life.
Hard and a good amount of my people, my friends that I call family are still, they're still
Yeah.
they're all still in the business, or
Yeah.
they're chefs or whatever. So it's still there, but that's what I really miss. I miss that.
You never leave them. I mean, like I haven't been running kitchen for a while, but like my people are the industry. I mean, they totally are. And especially in New York, we're having a really hard time. So we're all kind of like rallying for the restaurants to make it. That's
Absolutely.
another chat.
Hmm.
We got some really good stuff to talk about. So for people who don't know, Heather was a very famous and respected pastry chef. I think we met like 30 years ago. Did we meet 30 years ago?
I
Did we
would
meet
say
through
if
her?
it was very close. It was very close to 30 years. And then I remember your name. I don't remember when I first heard your name. I remember your name coming up again when I opened Jack's Fifth with Herb Wilson, and you
Oh,
came in to visit.
thank you. An old boyfriend. Yeah, we're not going there. But yeah, yeah,
And that's when your name came up again. But before that, you and I always knew people in common, always.
yeah.
You know what I
We
mean?
were
Like
bound
I
to be
always
together.
maybe
So it's kind
here
of
and there,
funny.
here and there. Hmm.
Yeah. It's very funny that we're linked together, which I'm going to get to in a different way, but after 30 years. So, for
Yes, I
people, I
know.
have my notes. Heather is a psychic medium, a medical intuitive. That's not all. A mama bear, a wedding officiant. So I kind of have like my wedding dress on and a lot of love here.
Are we doing
An
this today?
executive, huh?
Are we doing
What?
this today? Do I get my robes out for this?
Oh shit, yes. Who should I marry? Honey, do you want to get married again? No. We're going to do that in Rio. We have to renew our vows in Rio because they don't accept that we're married in America.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we have to
Well,
get married.
I travel.
Okay, come to Rio. An executive insight, building on business. I have a question about that.
Okay.
Breakthrough coach on learning about health of the body, life coach, medical intuitive, and puppy, kitty, a pet medium.
Puppy, yeah.
Puppy, and you have a puppy. So that's just a little tiny. But now let's get to the juicy stuff. I believe, if I did my homework right, in your early 20s was when you started to kind of get signals of some kind of, or was it earlier than that?
Oh, always did. But it wasn't until my 20s when I realized that how intensely it was medical, and that I started really like working on it. Like oh my gosh, like on my side, in my free time, which of course was like this much because I was so
You were
ambitious.
still pastry chef then.
I was
Yeah.
very ambitious one too, so there was means no time. But I was like, oh, I'm like, there's something that I could actually work on, and I started telling people because, I mean, it kicked in as long as I can remember. But when your old Italian aunts tell you like hush it and like don't say
Yeah,
anything.
like dip it. Don't say anything at the dinner table.
No,
Yeah.
don't say anything at the dinner table. So, or ever. So that's really, yeah. I mean, that's when I say like that's when the first time I came out, but it was only to a very limited number of people.
People that you trusted. So when you came out, so you were in your early 20s, you're still a pastry chef, and all of a sudden you're getting messages and you're realizing that you actually could help people that have medical questions or blocks and need help. Is that how it began?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would like to say, because I think a lot of people who do what I do, like definitely brand themselves a certain way. And that is, I believe completely in medicine. I believe in science. I believe that what I do is science, but we just don't know what that is yet. And I don't call myself a healer, but I will send you sometimes we're going to the wrong doctor. Sometimes we're not asking the doctor the right questions. I'd like to say I'm a little bit more sort of like medical advocate for people.
Yeah. You'll help people pivot. If you see clearly that they're kind of going down the wrong road, you'll be like,
sometimes, yeah, and sometimes
I
the
think this
doctor,
might be better. Yeah.
right? Sometimes it's a matter of just getting them to a different doctor. You know, we all jive
Yeah.
differently with different doctors, and we all have a very weird relationship to doctors, you know, especially in America, because our health services are so limited. It's so weird. There's a hierarchy. There's the male, female. There's all sorts of things going on there. So because I do, in fact, you know, when it comes through me, it is always in very medical terms for whatever reason. I just say what I hear, and it always comes out in very Western medical terminology. Not that I, if somebody talked to me about chakras, not that I wouldn't listen to them, but it's not the language that I have. I don't know enough
Yeah.
about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm always like, okay, if you need to see someone like that, I can give you somebody who I trust and love, you know?
Right. And I'm sure, I mean, actually, we'll get to me in a little bit, but there were two people that you recommended to me. So you probably have a roster of people that you have worked with that you feel might help your client in whatever direction they have to go.
Absolutely. And
But
the people that I
yeah.
don't know, I'm always like, you know, you really do need to see, and this happens a lot because a lot of people get very scared when things get more intense. Like I have to say, get yourself an oncologist that you are comfortable with immediately. Things like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not the
That
kind
you're going to be with for a while and have a relationship with.
yeah, a sweat lodge is not going to
Yeah.
happen right now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you have to
Yeah.
sort of, you get diplomatic on it quite a bit.
Yeah, I see we have Carrie, we have some Canadians in the house. So, I mean, the little bit I know, yeah, we love Canada. The little bit I know, their healthcare situation is much better than ours.
Well, it's
I
free.
mean, without getting into, huh?
It's
What?
free.
Well, yeah, it's free. And we have the lovely Kona Dreaming, Renee here, who you're going to be doing a session with. I
Oh,
think
that's
you
right.
booked
Oh,
her for
hello,
like,
hello.
yeah, that's my girlfriend. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Anyway, I'm just a little disclosure. I'm new at this. B, I'm not good at the whole reading and talking. Like, so I love you all for being here. I just got to look at Heather because I can't, rub the belly and scratch the
It takes
head.
a
I'm just,
while. It takes a while for sure.
whatever. It takes a while. I mean, you and Jim, who we're going to get to, are brilliant at it, but I'm like, huh? Ooh, huh? No.
That's
All right.
years in the
So,
making.
yeah, I think I'm my fourth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're good. You're good.
My fourth, and the production team is on vacation, so I'm on my own. Chico, my dog. Okay, so that was kind of like the intro of like, okay, this is different. I got this. I'm curious. I'm learning. How did it pivot into you working with doctors, and what did that look like? Do they come to you? Do you go to them? How do you work with doctors?
It comes in many different ways. The first time I was really sort of head to head with a doctor, like one that probably wouldn't go for somebody like me, is I was brought in on a case, a young boy with, he kept getting tumors, not on his spine, but almost like inside his spine, right? Like between the discs. And they were seeing a surgeon. He had them removed. And of course, when he gets to like 12, 13 years old, they started again. And parents came to me, and I was working with a kinesiologist I knew. And I said, I'm going to read some things. You let me know, because she was a doctor, became a chiropractor kinesiologist. I think I might have sent her to you, right? And so
Yeah.
she speaks all medical.
Yeah, she was incredible.
Yeah, she's an unusual bird, and I'm so lucky to be working with her.
I love unusual. Oh, the more unusual, the better.
Yeah, totally. So he went back in for surgery. I told him what foods not to eat until then, which made a huge difference in the boy's moods and everything. And I said, I keep picking up that it was because they grew back because of hormones, which would make sense because the boy went through puberty, right? He went through 2 surges, right around 9 and right around 15. Lisa also confirmed it. And the surgeon, of course, he doesn't care. He kept saying, I don't know why, but he's just there to take it out. They didn't really see anybody beforehand. The doctor, the consulting doctor, kind of like heard this, and where the surgeon was like, get rid of this whole situation. Let's just take it out.
Jim is on here.
Hi, Jim. Hi,
Jim.
darling.
Oh my God. We're going to talk about you in a little bit, so don't go anywhere. Everyone's saying hi to Jim. Okay, go on.
So anyway, that doctor reached out to me and was like, I'm really curious sort of what's going on. Was a little curt, no surprise. And then a year later, his wife came down with cancer and it spread crazy fast. And he called me and he was like, I don't know what to do. That's happened when like a loved one or yourself, and you kind of become unhinged. And it's the first time that you're looking at things as a patient, as a medical professional.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a big deal, you know, like, so
It's a huge
that's
deal.
when they kind of reached out to me. I've worked with them that way. And I've also worked with them in terms of them kind of being fascinated by some work I did for a patient again, but kind of later on, kind of lightly, like, can I just talk to you?
Oh, Carrie is saying the surgeon's wife. She had a question about the surgeon's wife.
The consulting surgeon's wife, yes.
Wow. Okay.
I was concerned, but also I also get a lot of mental health professionals, psychologists and psychiatrists reaching out to me because they understand intuition, because they have to sit in the room and just talk to somebody and sort of feel it out. So they begin to get mine, and they're like, oh, you know, you diagnose somebody. I don't say I diagnose, but I'm always like, go ask your doctor A, B, and C and let me know what the response is or what tests, or recommend this test for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. I bet you, I bet you have to have a lot of diplomacy and a lot of patience when you are dealing with this kind of, you know, healthcare connection, because they probably question a lot of what you're saying, even though they want to be open, but they question it.
I'm the first one to say also, like, I don't claim to know why I can do this. I don't claim to know. All I know is that when it was time to leave the kitchen, I did not know what else to do. I could not get a job. And this is the one thing that I was like, well, if I tell everybody, maybe it'll work. I never thought in a million years I would only do this full time. Never.
Well,
Megan just asked, do I work with people long distance? I do. As a matter of fact, the majority of people right now, Zoom is everything for me. It was about 40% of my business before the pandemic. And now I pretty much, except for a couple of events here and there, I only do on Zoom.
Wow. I think that's my Megan Evans, you and Heather, like, without a doubt. And I'm not going to even get into it. Megan's my girl, you and Heather. That's all I can say. You and Heather.
Great. I look forward to it.
All 13 of people here, you and Heather, but Megan, my girl, you and Heather. So I'm going to throw in a little bit about me and you on our second chapter of knowing each other out of the restaurant world, and all the things I can't read, but I love you all. I love you for being here. So for people who don't know me, I have had a whole life of medical issues. I kind of picked that card, and that's my adventure. I'm dealing with it much better now, but I had a chunk like a child, and then as an adult, knock on the door, type 1 diabetes at 55, totally blindsided, healthy, fit, no family history, out of the blue, and out of the fucking blue, pardon my French. And I ended up writing a book, going to nutrition school, and diving into what does my body need and what do I need to learn. At the same time, crying every day for like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then my girlfriend, I don't know if it was Andrea or B, both of them are in the industry, told me, oh my God, you have to reach out to Heather. She is a medical intuitive. And I'm like, Polly. And I remember I'm a real woo-woo. Anytime I can get a reading or I can talk to dead people or anything, I'm all in. But I also kind of do that little tap dance. I don't want to tell them too much. Let's see. It's stupid, but I do it. So I didn't tell
Everybody
you.
does it. Everybody does it.
Okay. It
Everybody.
is stupid, but whatever. So I didn't tell you at the time that something was going on with my gallbladder. I told you I had type 1, and I told you I was learning about it. I mean, really. And I walk into your apartment, and right away, what's going on with your gallbladder? We
I
need to
did.
talk about it. Oh, honey, I'll never forget. I was
I
like,
don't. I don't
she's the
remember my
one.
readings. I don't remember readings.
No,
But
no.
it's
I
like,
was like, I told my husband, I'm like, she's the one. That's it. Heather and I were done. So I don't remember. Of course, I have a notebook with all the notes, but you were phenomenal. You definitely helped me in the beginning, which was a very terrifying time.
oh,
And then we proceeded to, I think I did like 2 or 3 check-ins, which is part of, you have many different programs. So for that, I'm forever grateful. And I will always kind of
I'm so
work with
glad. I'm
you
so glad it
on
worked
that
out like
level.
that.
Yeah.
That's
So I
great.
want to move on to a couple of cool things. I mentioned in the beginning all the things that you do, but I did it very briefly. One of the things is that you work with businesses um, that are building new clients, finding a new pivot. We are in a, I hate the word pivot, but it's brilliant. We are in a land of pivot, pivot, pivot. And
Hmm.
when we're talking about companies have had to pivot tremendously. So during the pandemic and as we kind of tiptoe out, if I'm allowed to say that, what does it look like for you to work in that realm? And what can you share with people here? 14 people.
Well, first thing I will say before I talk about the actual work of it is that the biggest thing you can do right now is look at like the one skill you do the most and think about every other job that you can do with that skill, even if you have to make up a job, because
Wow.
because the process of business and how we go back and forth is changing. We look like we're going back to normal because basically anybody with power wants things the way they were, but we can't go back, and it's only going to begin to crumble. It's going to be the people who are, scrappy are going to do great.
Wait, define scrappy. I could be scrappy. What's scrappy?
You're scrappy. You make things happen. You know what I mean? Like anyone I've ever met that ever worked in a restaurant, because you gotta like, they're like, oh my
You
God,
have to. You have to
we lost
change. You got to
power,
keep it moving.
make it work, right? Water turned off,
Yeah, yeah. You're
make it
out of
work,
power. You have no water.
right?
The
Heart
chicken
attack on
burned.
table 23,
Find
make it
another
work.
chicken.
So that's
Marion
kind
and
of,
Joanne, if you're here, find another chicken. Yeah.
yeah, so that's huge, and that's going to kind of keep a lot of people moving. Also, a new way of anything that, if there's a job that you're like, this should really exist, like I recommend that wholeheartedly. Go back to like what you first loved originally. A lot of work that happens with blocks and creativity, and this is what I do with a lot of businesses, is I always say, go back to the thing that got you like really like buzzed when you were like 16 years old, when you were like, I'm so excited. Or even if you have to listen to the music of that time to get yourself giddy and high again, because what connects there in your brain is going to bring you to the thing. You're like, okay, I know the high of it. I know and I know the thing that I would love to be doing. How does that come to play as far as like making money? Because people are more willing to, though the gig economy is hurting a lot of people, there's a reason why it's here right now. It's going to be moving us into things where people who are like kind of like good at the gigging, even though it's more difficult with no backup, is going to be moving us into a time of like unbelievable like foundation.
You think the gig world is going to get bigger?
I think it's going to shift. I think the things that we're doing for gigs because of necessity, and people are just going to need, also people have a lot more freedom than they did before in a way, because we
They're
realize, because
home.
we all know that
They're
the
working
bottom
from
you drop
home.
out in a heartbeat. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We're like, is it
yeah,
all in tomorrow? We've seen it before, and now we
yeah.
know it for sure. There's nothing that's for
Well, now
sure.
we know what that's like. And
Yep.
we can't
That's right.
say, oh, well, I wasn't prepared. Like, if we didn't learn anything from the last 2 years, it was how do we prepare when the bottom falls out?
Mhm. Yes.
And I'm not going to mention the WAR word, but like there's other stuff that I'm sure is coming. That is, oh my God, you're good. We might have to do another one of these. You're so good because I
Aw,
don't know if you've ever heard of a woman named Lindsay Pollock.
I don't think so.
So I'm kind of like a little bit obsessed. I'm in awe of her. She's not on Instagram, but she's on LinkedIn, and her name is Lindsay Pollock, and she's a talk, TED Talk, an author, motivational coach. But she really talked about the landscape of the workplace. And I first heard her when I was at the W, and was a waiter. I am a waiter,
Mhm.
and she was giving a talk to a bunch of older people that were big CEOs, like big, high powered and this was in 2014. And she was talking about why the power of the millennial world is so important and why it's so important to integrate that into your company. In 2014, I could not leave that room. I still remember every word that she said. She wrote a book called Becoming Your Boss or The Boss. She has like 5 books. Anyway, the point that I'm making is that the last interview or talk that she did, a podcast, she talked about, the whole find your why. Find your why is very 2018, in my opinion. Now it's find your purpose.
Yeah.
And it's really more, she said, go and find out what your favorite job was when you were, your first job when you were really young.
Yep.
And she's a big, high powered speaker right now.
There it is.
She loved being an RA at college. She loved the community, helping people, navigating. And so, like you mentioned in the beginning, look at your resume and pick pick the 5 words of your skills or the quality of what you're good at. Even when she was an RA, she did that and then took that into her 20, 30, 40. I think she's only 40. It's a brilliant concept because I think we're all, I'm definitely in a transition. I do work at the hotel. I have a side gig, which I love. I am catering for backstage catering for Jack Monkey Catering. If you're not following, follow Jack Monkey Catering because I'm doing the Instagram and I'm doing all the food and beverage.
Mm-hmm.
And we feed everyone from the CEOs of Live Nation to John Mayer, Holler, to the stagehands.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about community. And I'm a union worker. So
Yeah.
I get the stagehand and I get the CEO because we're VIP at the W. So that wide range as a side job when the hotel was shut for 2 years, it got me off the couch. It got me out of
Yeah.
depression. It made me come back to me. And I think that during the pandemic, we all kind of faded from who we were. We just were surviving, but not thriving, watching way too much TV. And I think hopefully we're all coming out of that and we're taking everything that we learned in that period. And the majority of us are pivoting. I'm, knock on wood, maybe going to do more with healthcare and the mayor. There are a bunch of projects that I have that I'm working on that I
Mm-hmm.
would have never thought of pre-pandemic.
Right. That's right. That's right.
So I think you nailed it by take 5 words that you have on your resume that you believe you're really good at and see how they fit into other industries, right?
Yeah. And also, I mean, I would look at the job you have now and what
Yeah.
else can you do? I would even, like I said earlier, we're going to have to make up jobs that don't exist that you know are needed.
Yeah. I
That's
think I asked
people have
you,
to
I
get more
used to be,
creative, you know.
we have to get more creative. Oh, absolutely. I mean, hello, honey. I have, for
Yeah.
anyone who hasn't seen that, I have a buffet table full of goodies
I know.
and I'm doing my 4th IG live. Like, hello. So, and I'm having a really fun time. I think that's the important thing too, is that you gotta have fun a lot. Like if it doesn't feel like fun, even the backstage catering, Jack Monkey Catering.
Mhm.
It's a lot of hours, huge amount of hours, but I'm having a really fun time.
See,
And I
that's a
think you've
lot of it
got to
too.
bring the fun in. Yeah. And even though it's not completely financially rewarding, which we will not get into that detail here, I'm really happy. No, I'm really happy, and I think that makes a difference.
It does. It's
We,
everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So regarding that was kind of more about like how are individuals looking at, changing jobs or looking into what they're going to do, but I think everyone has to continually look at what we have to do.
Hmm.
When you're looking at companies like a whole,
Hmm.
that structure has completely changed. They're not, I think people are going to go to 3 and 2, 3 day Zoom, 2 day in. I'm hoping because we do events with corporations, so companies are starting to come back into meetings live.
Well, I think quite honestly, I mean, in the big picture, because we're not done with this, by the way. We're not done with this pandemic. Like, there's another spike in Europe, and it always
And
comes
China.
and China, and it always comes
Yeah.
again a few weeks after. It's actually, we have a spike every 157 days.
We do?
Yep. I follow a bunch of epidemiologists, and they always say that. And
That's incredible.
yeah, I know, right? It's like, oh,
I think I need to mark that on my calendar.
I know. Of course.
When did Madam, I call them Madam. It's like Madam Delta, Madam Omni, because they're all bitches. They're
Well,
bitches. I'm sorry.
and you should but you should respect them, because if you
Well, we
respect
do
them,
respect a Madam. Hello. She
yes,
knows how to run her house.
and if you respect them, also,
I
if you
know.
respect the situation, you can keep yourself safe, right? So
Yeah.
this
So,
isn't over yet. So people are going to, I think what's going to happen is we're going to reserve, as far as work and events go, ideally, the bosses are going to catch on, especially when people say, I'm not coming in, right?
and they're going to have to
they're
let
gonna
them do that.
they're gonna reserve times and be like, okay, let's do an event that everybody comes in for. Let's make a formal meeting that everyone comes in for. Like, the everyday thing is not going to happen. And I think also places like, not WeWork, obviously they don't exist anymore, but places that we see, like the more formal ones like Convene and that kind of thing, are going to be doing much better, because people are not going to pay rents without perks anymore.
I had a chef friend of mine who used to run Convene, and they went through, they kind of shut down. So you think Convene might come back?
It is back.
Or, oh, I
Oh,
didn't know that.
oh yeah, my ex-husband's chef there. That's how I know that.
Oh, okay. Well, then
But
they're back.
right,
Wow.
and they're hiring great people. It's all a lot more limited, but it's moving, it's growing, and that's what we're going to be seeing, because it's like now, if you go for an apartment in New York, right? Now you realize, like, I want to wash your dryer. Back when we were young, that was not an option, right? But now we're like, oh,
Yeah.
these are things now they're going to draw us in. Again, with things
So
like
you're
rent,
saying that employees have more leverage now?
much more, much more. Don't
Wow.
think for a minute, because they can't do anything without you, and now we know that. Now we know all of our
They-
jobs can happen without going into the office.
Wow. So that's good for anyone on here that might be looking for a job. You actually have more leverage when you're looking at that position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You're
don't forget
needed
that.
more than they need you. They
Always
need you more
remember,
than you need them.
yeah, always remember they're looking for people, right? Don't
People,
forget that.
look, the restaurant industry, I'm terrified about it.
Oh,
They need people.
I know. I
Yeah.
often say to
All
myself,
right.
only
So
I
I
can.
want to move on to another one, but just to wrap it up, that you do work with companies at strategizing new plans. Is that correct? That you
Well,
do
sure, because
some of
on a
your,
psychic level, I can see, like, who to hire, who not to hire, who to be careful of, what's coming up,
okay.
what somebody's emotional connection is. So, like, if you're looking at a client, don't do this, don't do that. Yeah,
All
that's what
right.
happens.
All right. So again, I apologize. I can't read. I'm a newbie. I can
That's
only look
okay.
at Heather right now. I love
I'm
you all for
watching it.
being here. Yeah, so Heather, if you see any questions, you answer them. Maybe that's the better way to do it. 'Cause I can't. Yeah. So, I was going to end that note and I lost it. Got interrupted. But anyway, oh yeah, if anyone is has a company and they're running a company and they need some help, Heather is the one because she'll know who you should hire and
Sometimes.
she'll know who your new clients are. Okay, so let's talk about something wild. You and your good friend Jim, who hopefully will still be here, started, I think you were YouTube, then Insta, then YouTube. Anyway, you and Jim started a show. Tell
On
us about
Insta.
the
We
show.
were always on Insta, and then we kind of try a couple things, and we always end up coming back to Insta.
Okay.
Just because
So tell everyone about it.
basically, Jim and I thought it would be fun to do a show together because we're funny together. That was kind of it, right?
Very fun.
And yeah, he's here.
Oh, good, Jim's still here.
Honestly,
Well,
like,
tell us who
I
this Jim Lanahan is.
Well, okay, give me a second.
Great minds want to know.
My friend Jim is now he's a life coach as well, but he's a Broadway producer, and he is just a host. Obviously, he's just fabulous, and we have.
And he lives in California, right? He lives in California.
He now lives in California. He now lives in Palm Springs. And so we just started doing this. I mean, the fact that 3 years later we're still here, I think, is a riot. And that, it's funny because the way Instagram has always worked for me, Instagram and my followers do not show the level of where my business is, right, at all.
Oh,
I feel like the strength of our show, you can't tell in the moment because we don't have that many people on at the moment, but we have people who watch it later, right? And I think that's one of the strengths about our show is that people just sort of like grab onto it and they make sure they tune in or they make sure they follow up. But we're still here doing the silly things, and we'll kibitz for like about half hour, and then I do some readings, and he throws out some good like coaching strategies, and then we laugh ourselves stupid. That's
like he's a life coach, right?
Yes, he's a life coach.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember how I fell into it, but I remember like it's Tuesday at 8 o'clock.
Now it's Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, Sundays at 9 p.m.
Sundays.
Probably a better night. But I remember I fell into it, and the two of you are like a riot together because there's a lot of laughter. And frankly, I don't know about you, but I need more laughter because there's plenty non-laughter. Someone asked me if I would bring Jim on. People, if you think I'm having a hard time reading, can you imagine if I had another person? My head would explode. Well, Jim, another time I would love.
He just I love you too, Jim.
Yeah, we all love Jim. Everyone give love to Jim and follow the Jim and Heather show. It can on your page or his page or both.
We change, but it's now when you go live with somebody else, they show it for all your people as well.
Okay, so just follow. By the end of the, everyone's going to be following you, and you follow Jim. And on Sunday, 9 o'clock, grab your cocktail or whatever, and have giggles. I know that you do readings. So if you do want a little quick check in and get a little feeling of Heather's work, you can show up and you put your question, and Heather will gracefully and gratefully tell you, and then Jim will give you lots of nuggets, and then there's a lot of hackling and kvetching. Is that what you call it? Kvetching?
Kvetching, yeah, we're kvetching, and also like, by the way, we're quite blue. Like it's not family hour for sure when we're on.
Oh yeah. No children, no one under 15 or 20. No one under
5.
35 and up. There's a lot of dirty talk, and it's wonderful. We all need dirty, raunchy talk. So, you also are a teacher. You teach level 1 and level 2, I believe. And before I hear about it, one of my healers, I have many people, but one of my people who I love, who, if I can get her to not be afraid of Instagram, she will do a live with me, but I've got to work with her on that. She always told me a long time ago, you are very intuitive.
Yeah.
And she said, actually, everyone is. It's just about being open. So the reason why the theme of today is about love, and for anyone who came late, There's a lot of love
I know, Jim, we
here.
got to work on our spread. Look at this, Jim. We got to work on our craft table.
Yeah, the two problems with that table. Number one,
I'm not
I'm a
there.
diabetic. So number one, you're not here. Number two, Jim's not here. Number three, I'm a diabetic. I can't fucking eat anything. Number three, I don't want my husband to have it because his Buddha belly is not going to go.
Well, yeah.
And he's in the other room. So I'm going to have to give it to the doorman or someone. Yeah. Anyway, and if anyone wants to know, and if you live in New York, it's all gluten free because that's the word of the day. And it's by the way, bakery. And it's really, really good, I heard. Anyway, where was I? We were talking about, classes. So my healer said you're very intuitive, and I'm like, I think when I lost one of my best friends on 9/11, he worked at Windows of the World, and I'm
Oh,
sure you knew people there too.
yep.
I said, okay, Junior, his name was Junior. You're the one. You're going to be the one that breaks me through. And all of a sudden, not that I see dead people, but I hear you and I can talk to you and I feel you. Junior, you're going to do it for me. I know you'll be the one. No, it's okay. No, I talked to Junior, but no. I'm now working with my dad, who I lost last year, and I'm finding really incredible ways to do it. I'm actually writing a book.
You can totally tap into Junior. We'll talk about that another time.
We'll
But
talk about it in
take
private.
my
So,
class.
just before I ask you about your classes, I am writing a book. It's here right now, and here, not on pen, but it's about understanding. It's going to be called Goodbye Hello, and it's learning how to build a relationship with the people we love once they've passed, and what that looks like.
That's beautiful.
And my father is going to be predominantly the largest part of the book. And my healer actually told me, because I said, I talked to him and I have a few signs from him, white feathers and numbers and a few other things. But she said, Diana, whenever you're in your greatest joy, so if you're at the farmer's market and you see the greatest mushrooms, like these unbelievable shiitakes or portobellos or lion's mane, and you're like, holy crap, look at these mushrooms. Look up and say, Dad, check it out. Bring him in to that moment of joy.
Oh,
And
that's
that's
beautiful.
how
That's a beautiful way
isn't
of
that
looking.
beautiful?
Yeah.
So I talk a lot to myself in the farmer's market. I'm like, Dad, check out the tomatoes.
Well, then
So
you're enjoying it.
talk to me. It's working. I mean, I'm learning. I feel like I'm in school right now because I'm very much am breathing on an intellectual level. All I want to do is sit down and have a bottle of wine with Dad and shoot the shit. That's intellectually and heart.
Mm-hmm.
But on a spiritual level, I want to understand how I can have something different.
Sure.
And I am learning. So you are a teacher that works with two levels for people in healthcare, correct? Can you tell us more
Well,
about it?
I originally the title was Psychic Level Intuition for Healthcare Workers, Wellness Professionals, and Artists.
Yeah.
And I brought those in because the fact is that I teach people who already have a good knack of where their intuition comes from, or have an awareness that usually they would not, really, they know it, they know it's there. I did healthcare professionals because they don't have an outlet for this kind of work. I chose
Not at all.
wellness professionals because the majority of them are going into the wellness industry, and it is a dark and uncomfortable industry, and they need to sort of like step back. And artists, because when people ask me like kind of where it comes from in me, I always say where your muse is where it comes from. So I do a lot of work with artists as well. And the
Where your muse, I mean, wait, define that, where your muse is.
Well, where your muse is, sort of like, where do you get creative inspiration? How does that work in your body? How does it come from your brain? All that kind of stuff. So I work with that as well. And we talk about all of this in the class, including bias, resistance, confidence. And then we jump into reading people pretty quickly and then by the end of it, we begin to dip our feet a little bit into mediumship, which is talking to people who are passed over.
Yeah. So you have 2 levels, right? 1 and 2?
I have 1 and 2, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So, how can people find out about these classes? Your
Everything's on my
website?
website, which is heathercarlucci.com.
Duh.
All
No
my readings,
complicated.
all my classes, retreats, everything. That's where
Okay.
yeah.
You also, I noticed when I did my research, you have an angel fund. Can you tell us about the angel fund?
Mm-hmm. As you know, as we come from the food world and we're always jumping in to help people, I had a habit of obviously doing a lot of pro bono work. And I realized that after a while, it's not sustainable because I still have to pay my rent. I still have to do all the other things. And a lot of people
He's
are
your
reaching
daughter.
out saying, you do such nice things for people online. Do you have a Patreon? And I was like, I don't. And I don't think I have the time to fill that sort of.
I don't get the Patreon thing.
I looked into it. It's fantastic. It's a great idea. I don't have the time because I do have my business is busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was like, I'll put up the angel fund. And this also gives me a way to, when people are like, if I've already read you, I will, like, if somebody's like, I need like 20 minutes, I'm like, great, do me a favor. I'm not going to charge you a solid thing, but like, give what you can. And people have been able to give $10. People have been able to give $500. Just because they know that when I'm needed or what it is. And this gives me the opportunity to work with people who are extremely infirm and unable to pay, people in crisis, stuff like that. So
it's a real pay it forward moment.
it is a pay it forward moment. Yeah, it truly is. It truly is.
It's a really beautiful pay it forward moment. You know, you have the piggy bank to help people that really need it, and people that really love your work and just throw money there every now and then so that you can build that piggy bank. I love that.
Sometimes when Jim and I are on, you know, somebody will just be like, what's your Venmo? Because they're like, you give us great advice or you make us laugh. And, you know, next thing you know, Jim and I'll go over, we're like, oh my God, she made $15. Like, you know, I was going to be here anyway, and here we go.
I didn't know. Yeah, you should mention your Venmo more when you do live.
We probably should.
You know, a lot of people, you know, during the pandemic, like there were DJs that would DJ, right, and they throw in their PayPal or Venmo because every Sunday you'd be getting your groove on. But you know, it's work. You're working. I mean, right now you're working. Yeah,
it's you know, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Some people get it, some people don't, but it's okay. And also it gives people the opportunity to be like, because sometimes they come on, they see my prices, but they're like, I don't know what to do. And they're like, oh, an angel fund, what is that? And they're like, do I qualify to be the recipient of that? You know, I'll watch them, and if I can't help them, because sometimes people come to me and they need a certain kind of help, and I'm like, you know what, that's not my work, but let me give you somebody who
can do it.
Yeah.
I love how transparent you are because there's so much bullshit out there, and I think that, look, I hope it's okay. Your prices are high, not high. Your prices are exactly where they need to be.
Thank you. But
in my opinion,
they are substantial. No joke.
They're substantial, but the way I look at it, Heather, if you're dealing with a child that you can't diagnose and the doctor is screwing the child up, if you're doing with your own health care and you're at wit's end, you know, it is a life gift what you do. It's not just that one check or that Venmo that you're going to pay them for a session. It's so much more than that. And I think if any of us have learned anything, I know I have. My health, I know everyone's like, I don't want the phrase is, your health is number one. If I have my health, I have everything. If you have to have your health, and I'm 50 fucking 9. My new age. It's not 59. It's 50 fucking 9. Like for a whole year, I'm going to hear. Yeah, for a whole year, I'm going to hear, oh, girl, you're getting to the big one. Whatever. I feel great. I look great. I am great.
They say that every 10 years anyway.
But the point is, my number one thing is health. So even during the pandemic, losing health care, it's like, Billy, I'll kill my body if I have to, but health is number one. So I think, yeah, and Kona
Right.
dreaming, Renee, it's like health is everything. And I know I'm 59. I know in 10 years from now, I'm going to have other stuff. I mean, no
Yeah.
woe with me. I'm going to have it. So if I can really build my foundation, which I have done, throughout my life, but now more than ever, if I can really honor my body and treat it like a temple and learn from you that maybe might be able to kind of shine a light on hidden cracks that the doctors can't figure out or I can't figure out,
Hmm.
I'd pay you $1 million.
Thank you. Also,
I'm sorry, I would pay you $1 million.
I
Can you
like,
imagine if you found out that I had like cancer or something and you were able to say, Diana, you're going down a wrong way. Blueberries are going to make you have green hair. I'll pay $1 million to not have green hair.
also
I
I
mean,
like your
come
patience
on.
at this point in my work because I'm a business. People forget like I run this like a business. This isn't
It
like
is a
sports
business,
thing. It's a
though.
total
Yeah,
business. Is that like the minute you sit down with me, I don't stop talking, and I don't stop talking about you. And health always connects to what's going on in your life, and everything comes up in the course of a reading. We talk about health, we talk about money, we talk about work, we talk about creativity. It's all about you. There's a writer who I used to read a lot, and then I realized a lot of her years later, a lot of her beliefs did not align with mine. But what she always used to call this work is you're giving the gift of divine attention, and we don't get that a lot. How often do you sit there in front of somebody, like eye to eye, and be like, all I'm going to do is talk about you, right?
yeah.
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions during, just so I know what I'm seeing. Also, I really just ask questions occasionally to test the waters to see what your reaction will be, so I can sort of temper kind of how I work with you.
And
But
also how willing you are to receive. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but really, like I mean, we don't get that. We don't have that kind of
We
moment,
don't get that.
right?
No,
So it's
we don't get
really
that. And yeah,
also, I
yeah. I
really
mean, I could
work with
say it a million times, and yeah, anyone who knows me, if you want to call me privately, you can. I will tell you over and over again. Heather is not only, I mean, we're having fun here, but this is work. This is her job. This is her company.
thank
She
you.
nurtures it and works very hard at it. And I respect every word that
Oh,
comes out of your
thank you
mouth.
so much.
No, I mean that. And if you know, eh, if you, I know if you value your life, health should be the number one. And I know that we have, what did I write in my notes? Health, money, family, and love were like the four threads that you talk about. And yeah, if we talk about health, then family will come in. I mean, how can you talk about health and not have family? And then money, well, money's always fucking there, good, bad, and ugly. And then love, I mean, life is all about love. So the thread, you bring in the thread. So you may walk into Heather's office or walk into the Zoom and think that you're talking about the infection on your toe or your gallbladder being whacked, but you're going to get a whole roster of what's going on with your family, your health, your work. You're going to get it. So like I said, I would pay $1 million and that's all I can say about that.
And also,
So we're
ideally,
going to do
I
three
don't
things.
expect people. I give the information. I don't expect people to come to me that often unless we're working on something specific. So, like,
Yeah.
ideally, like once a year. It's not, you have to come back over and over unless like I said, we're working on something specific.
Yeah, and Heather does have a lot of different programs, and that one, and she's a wedding officiant. If anyone's getting married, but and she'll do a reading too. You get the
Well, that's
reading.
part of the package. That's part of the
Like, don't get married. Have you ever done that? Have you ever had one done? Wouldn't that be awful? Don't
package.
marry him. He can douchebag.
I've never had it for the marriage reading, but I have sort of had to sort of allude, like,
Oh my God, I'm
wait
sorry.
a
That would be
second, a
funny.
little
That
bit.
would be a great like movie. Psychic. And then has the affair with the person she reads. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I digress. We're gonna wrap up. I have three little things, and then we end with a song. Do you have any events going on? Are you doing?
I do.
Are
I
they
do.
even?
On
Yeah.
329, I have a group reading in person at an amazing event that takes place in Brooklyn every month called Spirited Away. It
Okay.
the person who produces it is my friend Sasha Graham, who is like a madame of the tarot world. She's got like about 20 decks and 20 books to go with it published.
Oh, wow.
And there's all kinds of readers. My reading is like off to the side, away from everybody else, but all different kinds of card readers, all different kinds of vendors, and it's an industry city at a bar called Barrows and Tents, and it's in the courtyard, so we're outside.
Oh, how cool.
I only take 10 people for the reading, though. I only take 10 people for the reading.
Okay. All right. So
and
if you didn't get that, just reach out to Heather. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
One thing. So I don't know. I'm in the health and wellness, but it's getting such a bad rap lately. I did go to IIN to be a health coach, but I really look at that in a different way now because I don't believe that I have the right to tell people that come to me with Crohn's or this or that how to heal because I'm literally Googling. But what I am doing is I'm coaching people with diabetes, and I'm working with men who I love because all of my years running kitchens with men. I hang with men. I am, I vibe with men. It's so much easier than women. I love my women, but men are much easier. And when it comes to diabetes, there's so much shame and fear. So if once I connect with them and they're like, oh, she's really cool, then I can very gently work with them. And it's been phenomenal. So if you know any diabetics that are men out there, send them my way. And we have fun. But there is a whole thing that I have about the wellness industry. And you mentioned that it's going through a dark time. And I don't know what you meant by that.
I think it is dark, actually.
Yeah.
I think the wellness industry is frightening. It is a hotbed for lies and taking a lot of money and classism. And
a lot of anti-vaxxers in the wellness industry.
Yes. And
we won't get into that, but there are. Yeah.
And even beyond that, like there is just a level of cultural appropriation that I find horrific. It's like, we all.
There's also not a lot of guidelines. It's a free-for-all.
Yeah, well, that too. And people sort of, it's interesting because a lot of people find solace in it, but they're like, well, this is what I was told. It's like, you've just insulted an entire culture of people, or look at the people around you who don't assume everything is a certain way. Most people can't afford this sort of level of anything. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Health and taking care of ourselves. And the thing is, every single person in the world comes from a native background. May not be here, maybe elsewhere. And for me, I always say those are the practices we should be looking at. Like, I don't use sage because I've had friends who are native who are like, that doesn't work for me because that is truly from my culture and it's insulting. So I'm like, okay. And it forced me many years ago to start looking into basically like what the Italians were doing pre-Christianity, so I could honor also my people.
So you can honor that. Yeah.
Right, where this wellness industry is taking the culture, other cultures, and it's like, yeah, put down the dream catcher because you know what I mean? Like this.
Well, there's not an integrity behind it.
It's a problem. There's not enough education.
There's not enough education. So one of the women that I'm going to have on here is a chef and a master degree in nutrition, like 1 million letters after her name. Very bright woman, and she actually writes in the a testimonial in my book. But before she did that, she really grilled me because I was just about to graduate IIN. And she said, Diana, I cannot tell you how many people clients have come to me messed up because they went to like a health coach who was 21 years old, who was like, I'm a health coach. And they screwed them up. And then she had to clean them up. Yeah. She said, they're killing my industry, but then they're also killing the people. So,
right. Juicing doesn't work for everybody. Fasting doesn't work for everybody. Not everything works for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you have to be really careful. So I loved IIN, just in disclosure, if there are any IIN people here. I did love it. I learned a lot. I mean, I'd never been to nutrition school and I dove and it's a little woo woo and I love woo woo and I love knowledge and I love my body. So I checked everything off. I actually was in Spain taking care of my dad for a big part of it. But I'm very clear. Like my brother-in-law is a lawyer, and he's like, "You need to get disclosures all over. You have to get lawyer. You have to lawyer up." And I'm like, "Why? It's health and wellness." No, no, no. Because people will come for you if you tell them your gallbladder is screwed up, take it out, and, and there's
Well, it's
nothing
why
wrong with it.
I have a disclaimer, and I will never tell you like processes. I'll just sort of recommend like go and
Yeah.
educate yourself on this. Talk to your doctor a little bit more like that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
all you can
yeah.
tell people.
It's really, really important. And even when I work with men, you know, I work with anyone with diabetes,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm loving my male clients. Even when I work with them, I always say, I'm not a doctor. I'm only going to share what I've gone through and what works for me.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to try it. You might like it. You might not. But it's very much around food. I mean, I teach people healing through food, mind, body, and soul because those four pillars or or everything. So for me, I first had to learn what my body wanted, not what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had to get curious. When was the last time I read a book, listened to a podcast, learned a language? When did I last, body, how can I change my workout? So I dance now. I'm a walker. I never walked. I'm a walker. I did a torched workout during the pandemic with Isaac Booth. And I'm taking dance classes, so I'm constantly moving my body. And then soul. Soul is the biggest one. I tell people I meditate. How often am I on that cushion or am I lying?
Mm-hmm.
You know, intimacy with the one you love. How often are you really intimate? Or are you lying? You know, the soul is a big one. So I think you nailed it. I think you're very right about what you said. And I think it's only going to continue to get darker, which is really a shame because it's where we need the work. And I think that's it.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
That was like really amazing. So just before you go, I always begin. I don't know if you were here in the beginning, but I began the theme is love because it's all about, as Heather had mentioned, she gets her reading through love, or what was the thing that I read on your
Well,
page?
I always think that everything comes with love. So, a lot of
And
people
that's why
fear
we
money
have the love
like
theme.
because of curses, demons, and none of that exists. So
Yeah.
it's all about like the damage of humans. So we need to be more. Any good message comes from a loving place.
Exactly, and especially in the time that we're in, the more love we are in America, if you're in America, the more love that we can shed to Ukraine and other people in our life, the more love we can shed to our neighbors is really the power of love. And so I begin with a song which I say, oh, with Sade, No Ordinary Love. And I'm going to end with a song and I'm going to say, thank you. You were
Thank
phenomenal.
you. Mwah.
You were phenomenal.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you,
Thank you so
all
much.
people that are here. I
Thanks,
will play
Diana.
it. I will post it. And we'll be in touch.
Great. Love you. Bye-bye.
Time to dance. Bye. Okay, people. That was phenomenal. It's now time to get up and dance. I think Heather's frozen, but she's trying to get off. Anyway, in the meantime, thank you all for coming. That was unbelievable. This is the change of love. As Heather said, it's really about love. Get up and dance. Whatever you do, get up and dance and bring love in, okay? And then eat. If you can eat, then eat. But find the love. And I think Heather's broken, so I'm gonna go. Thank you all. What a great talk. Bye, people. Dan.